नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा I would like to congratulate all of you all for surviving this long. For all those people who have still um, attending and still very much part of this course. Um, this is probably the first time I'm doing this course extended over a period of weeks. I usually do it in 1 week, 6 days straight, one after another. That's usually how I prefer it. But the online world has changed a lot of things, so we have adopted to that, and we realized that I'm not sure how many people can handle a 7-day online 2 hours everyday class. So we decided to spread it over 6 weeks. So today's session will summarize everything we spoke so far. This session will be like a putting the whole jigsaw puzzle together. Over the last 6-7 weeks, you all have heard a lot of stuff, a lot of information, entered into your brains, and I'm not sure how much is really digested and how much is not even heard. It's just very strange to have a session online, first of all, and extended over 7 weeks, first of all. So I really don't know how much you all have been able to gather in. I highly recommend all of you all to hear the entire course at least 2 more times, peacefully, at your own speed, but hear it at least 2 more times. That's why we're giving you all recordings. Just put it on your phones, download it on your phones, and keep hearing it. And I'll tell you, there is so much information in this course that if you just digest the information that we have provided in this course, it will really help you across your life. As I said, this course is just an introduction to Bhagavad Gita. This course doesn't claim to teach you the entire Gita, but it'll give you a lot of insight into the Gita. It'll give you a lot of clarity about your own life and purpose. Today's session is called as practical application of Gita in daily life. How do you live by the principles that we learned in the last 5 sessions? How do you actually live in a way that you can make the teachings of Gita a part of your life? That's what we're going to be discussing today. For many of y'all who have been attending this course, and I have not had the fortune of even looking at y'all, it'll be wonderful if you can keep your cameras on today, because this is the last session we're going to do. And I would love to see whom I am teaching for the last 7 weeks. So it'll be wonderful if all of you all can keep your cameras on, so that at least I have one darshan of all of you. That will be really wonderful. Of course, I understand if some of you all can't keep it on. That's totally understandable. But whoever can, please do. Um, so now, while I'm going to share today's session, before I really get into the discussion of today's topic, I'm going to just give you all a quick overview of everything we discussed in a very brief a few slides. We began the whole course by talking about this very important subject, which is who am I? The understanding that we had is that I am not this body, but I'm a spirit soul trapped in this temporary material body. The next question is, where do I come from? The answer is, I, the spirit soul, was originally with God in the spiritual world. So I have come from the spiritual world. Spiritual world is a place where there is no birth, no death, no old age, and no disease. And the spiritual world is my true home. That's where I've come from. Third question is, where am I now? The answer is I'm in the material world. This material world is called Dukkhalayam. Dukkhalayam means a place full of miseries. And this material world is also called as Ashaswatam. The word Shaswat means permanent. And the word Ashaswatam means temporary. So I am in the material world, which is a place of misery, and this is a temporary place. Why am I here? The reason I'm here in this material world is because I chose to be independent of God. And thus he created this place, which is like a prison house for my rectification. Now, why do I get different bodies while I'm here? Desires create actions. My actions give me reactions. And different kind of reactions give rise to different kinds of bodies. So there are totally 84 lakh species. That means 84 lakh different types of bodies. And how are all those bodies created? How do we get a particular type of body? It depends on what desire we have had. If we have had a particular desire, then I'll get a particular type of body to fulfill that desire. So as long as I have desires, I will keep getting bodies. The question is, for how long will this cycle go on? Millions of lives we have already lived, and millions of good and bad things we have already done. And therefore, there are millions of things waiting for us. They are in store for us. That means to suffer and enjoy all those millions of reactions that are waiting, we have to keep taking birth again and again and again. That is what the cycle is. The question is, what do I do now? That's the $1,000,000 question that we're going to answer today. What do I do now? I'm stuck. I'm in this material world. I'm in a complicated cycle of birth and death. What do I do now? Now, if I don't get an answer to that question, then the whole course is meaningless. If I don't get a very practical understanding of what am I going to do now, then there's no point in doing this course at all, right? So today's session is entirely going to be, what am I going to do now? To help us understand this, let us look at this particular thought. We all have the most precious gift given to us. What's the most precious gift? The most precious gift that is given to us is the human life, the human body. The human body is a very, very special gift. And the human body is like a train junction. Just like there are many junctions that are there in the Indian rail system. Like, for example, Mumbai is a big junction, right? From Mumbai, you can decide to go anywhere. You can go all the way to the north of India, you can go all the way to the south of India, you can go east, you can go west, you can go anywhere. That's how junctions are. Junctions give you a lot of choices. Human life is like a junction, and we can decide the future course of our journey, whether we want to become demigods, or whether we want to remain as human beings, or we can want to go down and become animals, or we want to go back to the spiritual world. We can make our choices. The question is, how can I go back to the spiritual world? Is there a way that I can return back to my original home, the place where there is no misery, and the place which is permanent? The answer is yes. And how do I do that? How do I go back to the spiritual world? The answer is akarma in one word. If you remember last time I spoke about this concept of akarma a little bit. And I spoke about how we need to do what is known as neutral activities or akarma. What is the definition of akarma? Here is a very simple definition of the word akarma. Akarma means freedom from all previous reactions and the process of acting in such a way that there will be no further reactions. That is known as akarma. It means whatever actions we have done in the past, how do we nullify those actions and not get reactions for them? And second, how do we act in such a way that there are no future reactions waiting for us, no further reactions waiting for us? That was what the process of akarma is. Now we're going to discuss what is a karma and how we can practice it in our lives. Here is a very beautiful and a very deep discussion. Please pay attention to this. The word akarma means neutral activities. Like if you remember the last time I had given one example of a soldier. So a soldier in the army, he works for the government, he works for the country, right? And he is given a gun, he is given a uniform, and he is supposed to go and fight against all the bad elements. In fact, if he does his duty, he is awarded, he is rewarded. He's given the so many medals, Sena Ratna medals and Paramveer Chakra, so many ornamentations are given to a soldier. What for, to do what? Just to kill people. Imagine, his profession is just killing people, right? But for doing that profession well, he's given awards. And imagine the same soldier comes home to his village and uses the same gun and kills innocent people in the village. Now, do you think he'll be given some extra medals for what he did? Same thing, same profession, killing people only. Continue to do it in his village. He might say, come on, this is my profession. I'm supposed to be rewarded for it. The more number of people I kill, the more rewards I should get. Answer is no. What is the difference between what he did first and what he did second? The first thing he did it under the call of duty, under an authority who has told him to do it. And the second one, he did it under his own whims. When you do under your own whims, you get reaction. And that is what is known as karma. You can call it karma, you can call it vikarma. Karma means good actions which leads to good reactions, and vikarma means bad actions that lead to bad reactions. What is akarma? What is this between thing? This is where the tricky subject is. It's a very tricky subject because it's a very less understood subject. It's a very complicated subject. It's a very deep subject. To understand the word akarma, the word akarma means no action. The word karma means good actions, and the word vikarma means bad actions, right? So if you do good actions, what do you get? You get good reactions. If you do bad actions, what do you get? You get bad reactions. If you do good activities, which is karma, what is the meaning of good reaction? Like say, for example, somebody may, at the end of life, because he has done a lot of good karma, he may get promotion to the heavenly planets. He may get birth in Swarga. Or in next life, he might get birth in a very rich family, aristocratic family. That's good karma, the reaction to good karma. Or somebody might be beautiful to look at, somebody may be very intelligent, somebody may be very wealthy, somebody may be very knowledgeable. All these are a result of good karma. If you do good karma in one life, you will get good reaction in your next life. And what if you do bad karma, vikarma? If you do vikarma in one life, the next life you might get bad reactions. Born in poverty, sent to the hellish planets, going through so much suffering in your personal lives, so much what vikarma leads us to. But what is akarma? Akarma means no action. If you do karma, you get good action. If you do, sorry, you are doing good action, you get good reaction. If you do vikarma, you're doing bad action, you get bad reaction. What if you do akarma? If you do akarma, you're doing no action. If you're doing no action, you get no reaction. As simple as that. So, how can you do no action? Is it even possible? I mean, can any human being do nothing? Is that even possible? Like if you go to so many of these meditation camps, they tell you, sit, close your eyes, and think of nothing. You think you can think of nothing? Is it even possible? Yeah. They say, have no desire in your heart. Eliminate all desires. The desire not to have a desire is also a desire. How can you ever eliminate any, completely all desires, right? It is impossible at any point in your life to do nothing. It's not possible. You have to do something or other. So, what does akarma mean? What does it mean that you do no action? Does it mean that you sit quietly in one corner? If I get up, I'll do something wrong. If I sleep, if I do something wrong. If I walk around, I do something wrong. I do nothing. I won't go out of my house only. That's what Corona is making us all do, right? Don't go out of the house only. No action. No action means no reaction will come. Arey Baba, how long can you do no action? It is not possible only. You will do something for sure. You will end up doing something. And therefore, what exactly is a karma? How do you really pinpoint it? And how do we practice a karma, which is also called as effortless action? To help us understand what the idea of a karma is, let me give you a simple example. One time, a child goes into a hotel. Young boy, very small boy, goes to a hotel in a very posh, beautiful restaurant there, and he walks in, sits on the table, orders some food, and eats all the good, nice stuff that has come. Loves it, and he gets up after eating, walks out of the door. Nobody stops him. He doesn't have to pay any bill. He is not stopped at all. Just walks out straight. Why is he not stopped? Why is everyone having to pay bill? And why this guy is not stopped? Simply because this guy is the son of the owner. The father owns the hotel. The father owns the hotel, the why son has to pay? Isn't it? The father owns the hotel, the son just eats and walks away, scot-free. But if any other guest comes to the hotel, they have to pay a bill. And this bill is compared to karma. And Krishna is our father. If you recognize the authority of God, and if you act in a way that is favorable to God, then you are the son of God. You're the child of God. So when you do actions that are favorable to the father, you don't have to pay the bill. You can walk out. You do whatever you want, you do all action, and then you walk out. No bill, no karma to be paid. As simple as that. Let me help you understand it with a very nice example that the Gita gives. So in the Gita, Krishna speaks about this beautiful sentence. He says, Yagyarto karmano netra lokoyam karma bandhanat. What is the meaning of karma bandhanat? Karma bandhanat means caught by the cycle of karma, caught by the reactions of karma, basically. Karma bandhan. That's what the paying of the bill means, basically. So, who pays the bill? Those who do not do yajna. What is the meaning of this word yajna? Yajna means sacrifice. It's in English, that's what it means. But yajna is something much more deeper than the word sacrifice. Yajna means choosing to follow the authority of God. One time, there were two young boys. They were standing in front of a house, a beautiful mansion. And they were talking to each other and they had a bet. One boy told the other boy, I'll go and paint on the wall of this house and the owner won't punish me. The other boy said, impossible. This guy is such a dangerous fellow. Anybody who does anything on his wall, he just beats them up so badly. I can bet you that he won't spare you. The other fellow said, no, I'll do it. He went, got a bucket of paint, got some brushes, and he began painting on the wall like anything. He painted for a few hours, and then he went inside the house, knocked the door of the house, called the owner out, and showed him the painting on the wall. And the owner, instead of beating him, actually gave him money, thanked him, very grateful to him. And the other boy was shocked because every time he had seen this owner only treat people roughly when they did something to the wall. This time he's awarding him. He's happy with him. And then this young boy went and saw what he painted on the wall. You know what he painted? This boy painted on the wall, stick no bills. And the owner was very impressed. He actually did something for his favor, right? He did something to help him. And that's why the owner actually paid him money and thanked him. This is what akarma is. In short, akarma means acting for the interest of God by following his authority and not for personal satisfaction. This is called akarma, or this is called yoga. Look at this, look at the sentence. Let's read the sentence again carefully. Acting for the interest of God by following his authority and not for personal satisfaction is called akarma. So that means if you do an action that is favorable to God, that is authorized by God, that is recommended by God, then that action is considered to be no action at all. You get no reaction to it. But if you do an action that is not favorable to God, rather against the authority of God, and you do it for personal satisfaction, that falls under the category of karma or vikarma. Right? So akarma is called neutral action. When you do akarma, what happens? Two things happen. First is all past reactions are eliminated. Good and bad, both are cleared. Tell me, anyone over here who has understood this, if you can tell me why is bad reaction getting cancelled, understandable. But why good reaction also gets cancelled? How do you understand that? Can anyone, unmute yourself and tell me what your thoughts are? Why all reactions get cancelled, even good reactions get cancelled? If you have heard my previous sessions carefully and understood it, you'll be able to answer this. Anyone would like to unmute and let me know?
I would like to answer.
Yes, please.
So this is my understanding again. So maybe because even if when you're doing, if the good karmas also don't get cancelled, the thing is that you will get the good fruits of that in the next birth. So maybe it's because of that, it all ends here, the good or the bad, whatever it is. Because of that, you don't have to take a future birth, and you don't, that is what my.
Perfect. So that means even the good reactions, good actions lead to good reactions, which means it continues the cycle of birth and death. So even if you have to enjoy the reactions of the good actions you did, you have to again take birth again, which means the cycle of birth and death is going to continue. And getting out of the cycle of birth and death is what helps us reach the spiritual world, which is what our ultimate destination is. So as long as you're caught in the cycle of good, bad, as long as you're caught in the cycle of a birth and death, till then this action reaction thing cycle will continue. And therefore, the first thing that happens when you do a karma is all your past reactions, both good and bad, get cancelled, get eliminated. And the second thing that happens is no future reactions accrue, good and bad, both. Just to give you a simple example, I'm sure many of you all here on this group would have seen cassette players in your life. At least most of you all that I can see at least would have surely seen a cassette player in your life. What is a cassette player? I can't give this example 5-10 years down the line probably. So cassette players have a very interesting mechanism of working. So there are two reels, two wheels, and the reel increases on one side and decreases on the other side, right? It increases on one side and decreases on the other side. So this is exactly how the process of akarma works. As you're doing actions in this world, Technically, you get bound more and more and more. But when you practice a karma, you're actually getting unbound. Just like one side of the reel becomes lesser and lesser and lesser. So actually, your reactions become lesser and lesser and lesser as you do more and more actions. But for most people in this world, every action of theirs leads to a reaction. So they get very complicatedly caught in a mesh of action and reaction. Like, for example, there was a guy who was walking on the road and he didn't notice that there was new tar put on the road. It was very sticky tar. By mistake, his one leg went into that tar, and so much tar got stuck on his leg. And now he was badly stuck in one leg. So he used his other leg to pull his first leg out. And when he used his other leg, the other leg also got caught now. Both his legs, he was like, struggling. And then he tried to use his hand to remove the tar out. And then what happens? His hand also got stuck in the tar. And then he was like struggling so much. Very soon he was like totally messed up. A lot of people in this world are just like this man. The tar represents our karmas. We do one karma, and to get out of that, we try to do another karma. And we get even more entangled in the cycle. And then to get out of that, we try to do something else. And we get so badly entangled that we just don't know how to come out. And therefore, this process of akarma is the way to come out of this cycle of bondage, the cycle of repetition of karma and vikarma. The question is, how do I act in such a way? How do I work for Krishna in such a way that no material reaction accrues? The answer is very simple. I'm sure all of you have seen an iron rod, right? If you touch an iron rod, how does it feel? Metal is cold. If you touch an iron rod, it's actually very cold. But you take that iron rod and put it into fire. Let it be in the fire for 1 hour. And then you take out the iron rod and touch it. You know what happens? The iron rod will burn like fire. The iron rod that is cold, because of the association of fire, becomes hot, becomes like fire. There is no difference between the iron rod and fire now. You have to treat the iron rod like fire because it has been in proximity with fire for so long. Similarly, all of us are like the iron rod, cold in this material world. But when we associate with Krishna, when we come in touch with Krishna, it is like iron rod coming in touch with fire. Just like the iron rod acquires the properties of fire by being in touch with it. Similarly, a living entity like us, by being in touch with Krishna, we acquire the properties of Krishna. We acquire the qualities of Krishna. We won't become like Krishna. We cannot become like Krishna. We can't become God, obviously. But we can become qualitatively one with God. The quality that we have by slowly being in touch with Krishna becomes Krishnized. That is the process of yoga. And that is the process of akarma. A lot of people in this world do not know what yoga is. The moment you hear the word yoga, this is what comes in your mind. If you look at these first two people, they're doing real yoga. BK Iyengarji. And if you look at the fellow below, he's also doing exactly the same yoga pose. But this fellow is drunk and he has fallen, from his chair. So apparently you see both of them seem to be doing yoga. So there's a big difference between the first person, BK Iyengarji, doing yoga and the fellow who's drunk and fallen doing yoga, right? Big difference. And therefore you should understand what is the meaning of the word yoga. Unfortunately, people don't understand the meaning of the word yoga. And this is what comes in mind when the moment you hear word yoga. We talk about asanas, we talk about exercises, we talk about breathing. And so we talk about the externals of what yoga is. We talk about the outer reality of what yoga is. But this is not what yoga is, actually. What is yoga? It's something else. One man went into an electronic workshop and he pointed out to a particular, device, and he said, "I want to buy this television." The shopkeeper, sales guy, looked at this man and he said, "We don't sell TV to fools." I got offended. He said, "What do you mean by you don't sell TV to fools? I want to buy." He said, "We don't sell TV to fools. Get lost from here." The guy felt offended. He left from there. And he came back after some time. And he changed his attire and changed his look and really looking very different. Put a beard, put a hat on his head and changed his dress, came back again. And he said, "I want to buy this TV." The salesman looked at him and he said, "We don't sell TV to fools." So I was shocked. He said, "How did this guy recognize me? When I changed my full get-up, how did he?" He went back. This time shaved his head and became like completely different, in his looks. Came back again. Total different hair, dressing style. And he said, "I want to buy this TV." That guy said, "We don't sell TV to fools." This guy lost it. He said, "Come on, how do you even understand that I'm the same person?" He said, "My dear sir, this is not a TV, this is a washing machine." Now, this fellow didn't even know what a TV looks like. So what is he going to buy it for? Right? So a lot of people who think they're doing yoga, actually they don't understand the meaning of the word yoga only. And therefore yoga becomes irrelevant to them, to their lives, and it just remains exercises basically. What is yoga? What is the concept of yoga? The word yoga comes from the word yujya. The word yujya is the root of the word yoga in Sanskrit. And what is the meaning of the word yujya? The word yujya means to join or to connect. Just like, if your finger is connected to your hand, if I cut the finger from my hand, take it off, the finger becomes useless, isn't it? The finger is useless when it is not in touch with the hand. You place the finger on the table, what it can do? Nothing. But the finger is connected to the hand, it can do a lot of things. Like, for example, fish. As long as the fish is in water, it can do so many things. It can swim around, it can, it looks so beautiful, it enhances looks of a place. It's so good. But the moment the fish taken out of the water, what happens to the fish? It's flapping, it's dying literally. Similarly, hair. As long as hair is on the head, it beautifies you. But the moment you cut your hair and it's on the floor, what's the use of that hair? Of course, nowadays people make a business out of that also. But technically it's useless. At least for me, it is useless, right? So similarly, the idea of yoga means connection. But connection means what? Connection means there have to be two things, isn't it? So if you have to connect, means there have to be two things. Like say you're connecting the finger to the hand. So finger and hand are two things. You connect to each other. You connect the fish to the water. The fish and water are two things connected together. Or you connect the hair to the body. The hair and the body are two things you connect to each other, right? So in yoga, what are we talking about? What is this connection we're talking about? The connection is of the Atma with the Paramatma. The connection of the living entity with God. Connection of us with the Supreme Lord Krishna. That is yoga. Yoga is the medium of connecting you with God. The whole idea of yoga is connection. Just like, suppose you have a friend who is your very, very close friend, and he travels to another country, settles down abroad, and you want to connect with that friend. How do you connect with that friend? Nowadays, there are many ways to connect with a friend, isn't it? One way to connect with a friend is that you can send him a letter. And of course, nowadays, who sends letters? Very complicated process nowadays to send a letter. Easier way is to make a phone call. Just pick up the phone, make a call. Another way nowadays is to send emails or do Zoom calls. You will feel almost that you're there with that person. The fourth way is that you actually go there. Travel, take a flight, go there. These are 4 ways to connect with anybody, right? Similarly, I am in the material world and God is in the spiritual world, right? Huge distance between the material and the spiritual world. How do I, who is sitting in the material world, connect with God who's sitting in the spiritual world? That's the process of yoga. Yoga is simply the process of connecting you with God again. We all want to go back to the spiritual world, right? We all want to reach back to the kingdom of God, the original place where we came from. What is the process to do it? The process is yoga. And that yoga is also called akarma. Now, what are the different types of yoga that is available? The Bhagavad Gita speaks to us about 4 types of yogas. And these 4 types of yogas are introduced to us by Krishna in the Gita. The first type of yoga is known as karma yoga. What is the meaning of karma yoga? Karma yoga, see, as I said, yoga means 2 things, right? You have 2 things. So in this case, we're talking about how we as a living entity can connect to God, who is the supreme person. How to connect the living entity with God? There are 4 ways to connect. The first way is karma yoga. So that means connecting us to God through the medium of karma yoga. So how do you connect with God through karma yoga? The answer is very simple. We use our senses to connect with God. We use our eyes, we use our hands, we use our legs, we use our body to connect with God through the medium of karma means work. So when we work for the pleasure of God, for the satisfaction of God, it becomes karma yoga. Only work is karma. But when does karma become karma yoga? When we do work for the pleasure of God, then it becomes karma yoga. You can't say all work is karma yoga. All work is karma. Work means karma, actions. But when does karma become karma yoga? When what you do, the moment you add the element of God in what you do, when the moment the purpose of your action becomes to please God, the word yoga comes in. As simple as that. Whenever the word yoga comes in, the element of God has to come in. As simple as that. So when a living entity wants to connect with God through the medium of work, it's called karma yoga. This is the first type of yoga. The second type of yoga is known as jnana yoga. Jnana means knowledge. And when a living entity wants to connect with God through the medium of knowledge, it's called jnana yoga. The process is using your intelligence. In the first case, the process was using your senses. The second case, the process is using your intelligence. That means you acquire knowledge about God. So as I said, only when you acquire knowledge, it's called jnana. But when you acquire knowledge that helps you connect with God, it's called as jnana yoga. So somebody might say, "Arey, I'm reading so many self-help books. Am I doing jnana yoga?" No. When I'm acquiring knowledge and I'm strengthening my intelligence, but there's no element of God involved in it, it's called as jnana. The moment there is God involved in it, it becomes jnana yoga, right? So that means when the living entity is trying to connect with God through the medium of intelligence, through the medium of acquiring knowledge, it's called jnana yoga. The third type of yoga is known as dhyana yoga. The word dhyana means meditation. So here the mind is involved. So the second case, the intelligence is involved. The third one, mind is involved. So when you connect with God through the medium of your mind, by absorption in God, it's called as dhyana yoga. There are a lot of people who work hard to serve God. They are karma yogis. There are a lot of people who acquire knowledge about God. They are jnana yogis. And there are a lot of people who meditate on God. They are dhyana yogis. And the fourth type of yoga, like the other three, If I am only meditating and there's no God involved in it, what it is called? It is called dhyana. But the moment when I'm meditating on God, the moment God comes in picture, then it becomes dhyana yoga. So a lot of people are teaching you meditation, right? But because there's no element of God in it, what is it called? Dhyana. Very good. Learn dhyana. Very, very good. But don't say it is going to lead you to God. It is only going to give you a peaceful mind. If the purpose is for you to have a peaceful mind, do dhyana, no problem. But don't say you're doing something spiritual. It is material only because it is connected to the body only. It's only connected with your physical body and the mind. But the moment you involve God in the picture, the moment you bring in the element of God in the picture, then it becomes yoga. Then it is dhyana yoga. And finally, the fourth type of yoga is known as it's known as bhakti yoga. In bhakti yoga, what is the process? The process is connecting us to God through the medium of love. And here, so in karma, senses are involved. Our working senses, all are the bodies involved. In jnana, intelligence is involved. In dhyana, the mind is involved. But what is involved in bhakti? You know what is involved in bhakti? The soul, the atma. The process of the atma connecting with Paramatma, with God, through the medium of love is known as bhakti yoga. So, these four types of yogas are actually four levels of connecting with God. Karma is the simplest level of connecting with God. Like I was talking about this example, Yagyartho karmano netra lokoyam karma bandhanat. When everything you do is for the purpose of pleasing God, you are doing karma yoga. That means everything you do is for the pleasure of God. It means you're not doing any work at all. You're only doing karma yoga. When you are trying to acquire knowledge about God, it's very rare. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavam mam prapadyate. Vasudevam sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. He says, Bahunam janmanam ante. After many, many lifetimes, Bahunam janmanam ante. Jnanavam mam. So he says, Bahunam janmanam ante. Jnanavam mam sarvasa. One person who is a jnani understands that I am everything. Krishna is everything. And what does Krishna say? Sa Mahatma Su Durlabha. Such a Mahatma is very rare, Krishna says. So to acquire knowledge about God is a very rare phenomenon. 1 in a million will acquire knowledge about God, understand God completely through the process of knowledge. And then Dhyana, Krishna in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgater antaratmana. He says the topmost yogi is one who meditates on me internally, completely absorbed in me internally. That's the topmost yogi. That is Dhyana yoga. And then the fourth thing, Bhakti yoga, Krishna says, Manmanabhava madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. He talks about Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. Krishna repeatedly in the Gita speaks about surrendering to him, which is the process of Bhakti yoga. The interesting part about Bhakti yoga is that Bhakti yoga is like a 2000 rupee note. In a 2000 rupee note, there is a 500 rupee note also. There is a 100 rupee note also. There's a 10 rupee note also. There is a 20 rupee note also. There is a 200 rupee note also. Everything is there inside that 2000 rupee note, isn't it? Similarly, the process of Bhakti yoga is like that 2000 rupee note. When you practice Bhakti, you are already doing Karma yoga. You're already doing Dhyana yoga. You're already doing Jnana yoga. Let me explain to you how. When you practice Bhakti, one of the limbs of Bhakti is that I serve God. I clean the temple of the Lord. I do puja for the Lord. I give donations from what I earn to the Lord. So I do so many things physically for the Lord. That is known as Karma yoga, right? So that means when you practice Bhakti, we are also doing Karma. You're already doing Karma yoga, isn't it? That means you're using our body. When we're doing Bhakti, we're also using our intelligence. Like these 6 sessions, what are we doing essentially? These 6 sessions is nothing but Jnana yoga, right? We've been acquiring knowledge about God. 6 full sessions. 12 hours we have been doing Jnana yoga only, right? So that means when you're doing Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga is already included in it. You're also acquiring knowledge. And when we do Bhakti Yoga, there is Dhyana also. We do meditation. In fact, I'm going to be talking to you all about the process of meditation. What is the process that we recommend? A meditative process. So that means when you do Bhakti, you're already actually doing the first three. It's automatically part of it, right? In fact, Krishna in the Gita talks about how Bhakti is the supreme topmost yoga. Like say, suppose, for example, if you want to buy a MacBook, an Apple product, there are so many Apple products. How do you choose which is the best for you? The person who has created it, he is the best person who can explain to you which is the best product for you, right? So similarly, Bhagavad Gita is created by Krishna. The whole idea of these four yogas is introduced to the world by Krishna. And therefore, we should ask him only what he thinks is the highest. And Krishna in the Gita speaks about the idea of bhakti being the highest form of yoga. So there are some misconceptions that people have about the path of bhakti. One of the biggest misconceptions that people have about the path of bhakti, they think bhakti is a path of abandonment. Abandonment means what? If I become a devotee, if I want to practice bhakti, I had to give up this also, I had to give up that also, I had to give up this also. Bhakti is not the path of abandonment. In fact, bhakti is a path of adoption. In bhakti, we don't give up things, but we add the right things into our life. Just like if you study the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke the entire Gita to convince Arjun to not give up his fight for truth. Arjun, in fact, wanted to run away to the forest. So if Gita was about giving up, Krishna would not have spoken it only. Arjun was anyway giving up in the beginning. Krishna spoke the whole Gita to tell Arjun, don't give up. So if anybody tells you that if you practice bhakti, then you have to give up so many things, tell them you're wrong. In bhakti, you don't have to give up anything. You can only add some things in your life. And what is it that we have to add? Let me explain to you all a very beautiful concept. Suppose you write a check. You write 5 zeros on the check and give it to somebody. Sign it and give it to someone. Do you think the check is useful to that person? 5 zeros written on it. Arey, I gave you 5 zeros. You give 100 zeros also, it all means zero only, isn't it? Right? If you write 5 zeros, 6 zeros, 10 zeros, one after another, it still remains zero, isn't it? All of us in our life, interestingly, we have all been accumulating zeros. Our education, one big zero. PhD is a beautiful, very well calligraphed zero. Your beauty, another big zero. Your bank balance, full, even if it is 5 crores, 10 crores, beautiful diamond studded zero. Your car and your, all the gadgets you have, big zero. Your family, another big zero. Your house, nice, very well decorated with bricks, zero. Everything we have in life is actually one additional zero into our life. We are all very proud. Arey, itne zero hai mere paas. I have so many zeros in my life. See how many zeros. I have this also, I have this also, I have this also, I have this also. They're all big zeros. And if there is no one in your life, all those zeros will remain zeros only, right? But the moment you put a number before the zeros, any number, 1, 9, whatever number you put before the zeros, that much the value of the zeros increases, isn't it? The value of the zeros increases according to the number that is put in front of it. Suppose you put the number in the end, what happens? Again, all those zeros become meaningless. Only that number remains, right? So Krishna is like that number. You have so many amazing zeros in your life, very beautiful zeros, very nice. But the moment you put Krishna right in the front of all those zeros, the value of all those zeros increases even more. But if you remove that Krishna from in the front and you put Krishna in the end of your life, then what happens? All those zeros become meaningless and only that one is left. Only Krishna is left. But when you add Krishna right in the front of your life, that means you prioritize God right in the front of your life. The more you have zeros, the better your life is. Provided you're ready to put that one very clearly, very firm one in the front, or 9, whatever number you want to call it, So the moment you put that firm Krishna right in the front, the value of everything else you have in life increases, right? So Krishna wants us to practice what is known as Bhakti Yoga. The idea of Bhakti Yoga is an all-inclusive yoga. If you remember, we spoke about this. Bhakti Yoga includes all other forms of yoga. If you're doing Bhakti Yoga, you are doing Karma Yoga, you are doing Jnana Yoga, you are doing Dhyana Yoga. They're already included in the path of Bhakti Yoga. Yoga is a very flexible form of yoga. It's a very flexible form of yoga. Like I was talking to someone, and I was talking to them about doing a little bit of Bhakti Yoga in their path, in their lives. And I was telling them very simple things to do. And I told them some very simple things. And at the end, that the guy told me, "Wow, that's it." I said, "Yeah, that's it." He said, "This is so flexible. And this is so easy to do. No hard and fast rules, no complicated processes, no difficult things to do. Very simple." So Bhakti gives us maximum results in the shortest amount of time. Bhakti is a path where you have to put minimum effort. In all other paths, there is very complicated efforts that you need to put in. But in the path of Bhakti, very minimal efforts. And maximum people can practice it. The path of Bhakti can be practiced by anyone and everyone. You don't have to go to a temple and stay in a monastery to practice Bhakti. You can practice it while staying at home with your family members, doing your jobs, carrying on your responsibilities. While doing everything in this world, you can still practice Bhakti. And that is why it is such an easy, comfortable, and but yet very powerful path of yoga. And the best thing is Bhakti can be done at any time, any place, any circumstances. From the womb to the tomb, anyone can practice Bhakti. There is no age, there is no hard and fast rule. And the most amazing thing is Bhakti is a very natural process. It doesn't involve something artificial. You don't have to do something very complicated. It's very simple, very straightforward, and very easy to practice. Now, we're going to be talking about how do I practice Bhakti Yoga in my life? How do I practice Bhakti in my personal life? While having a family, while doing my responsibilities, while practicing everything that I'm doing. If in the last 6 sessions, you have not paid attention at all, it's okay. Now, what I'm going to tell you all in the next 1 hour, please pay attention. If you have not heard anything at all in the last 6 sessions, the 11, 12 hours that I would have spoken to you all, it's perfectly fine. The next 1 hour, what I'm going to tell you all, please hear carefully. This is what you need to do now. This is what the practice is. And if you understand what I'm going to tell you now, you understood the essence of the whole course. Okay. So, how do I practice Bhakti? To be able to practice Bhakti, I need a temple. Now, what's a temple? For a lot of people, temple is a religious place, a place of worship. But you know what a temple actually is from a Vedic point of view? The temple is not exactly a religious place. The temple is an institute of education. And knowledge about God is being imparted to you. Right now, technically, all of us, When we come on these Zoom classes, it's a temple setup. Technically, we're talking about God, right? But we are online. We're doing a Zoom class. So you don't need a physical temple. Temple is an educational center. That's the most important thing. So if you travel around the ISKCON world, go to all the ISKCON temples across the world, you'll find the temples are very different from most traditional temples. You'll find there's a big hall. Why you find such a big hall in an ISKCON temple? Why? So that people can sit and hear about God. Because temple primarily is an education center. Temple is a gym. Now you might wonder, how is a temple a gym? I mean, the temple doesn't look like a gym in any way, right? It is a gym. But here, in this gym, a different set of muscles are being exercised. Usually in a gym, what do? We push against very heavy weights, right? And then our muscles become strong. But in the temple, what is the weight that we're pushing? The temple is a gym that helps you push against the weight of choices, temptations. So you're pushing temptations away and you're strengthening your choice muscles. The temple is a gym. The gym trains you how to make the right choices in life. And the third thing is, the temple is like a hospital. What happens in a hospital? In a hospital, treatment happens, right? Patients come who are sick, they get treated, they go out. The word mandir. What is the meaning of mandir? Mandir means it's a place where the mind gets treated. Man means mind. It's a hospital for the mind. So in today's world, there are so many sick people. Not just physically sick, but mentally sick, emotionally sick. So many ways they are sick. The temple is a place where you get treated. And it's a hospital. Just like in a school or in a university, there is a professor. What does a professor do? The professor is a subject expert. And what does a professor do? The professor teaches you. Those who are ignorant are being taught about the subject which you have come to study. In a gym, there is an instructor. What does the instructor do? The role of the instructor is to teach us how to exercise properly. There are a lot of people who do exercise without an instructor. They hurt their leg, they hurt their arm, they do some crazy thing and they get hurt themselves. With an instructor, you don't get hurt badly. And just like in a hospital, there is a doctor who's an expert in treating your problems. Similarly, in a temple, we find that there is a guru. And what is the role of the guru? The role of the guru is to help us first deal with our problems. So guru is a teacher, guru is a trainer, guru is a doctor. Just like the teacher imparts education to us, the bona fide spiritual master, bona fide teacher, imparts us knowledge about God. Just like the gym trainer helps us exercise our muscles, the guru helps us exercise our choice muscles. And just like the doctor helps us treat our diseases, the guru helps us treat the diseased mind and the diseased heart. So all of us, we have to go to a temple and we need a teacher there. For what? To help us establish what is known as Krishna connection. All of us have been separated from God for a long period of time. For a long, long period of time, for many lifetimes, we are separated from God. What does a temple, what does the guru do? And what happens in a temple? In the temple, the guru helps us reconnect with God. And how does a guru help us reconnect with God? The guru teaches us A, B, C, D. That's all. 4 things. A, B, C, D. That's all. At the end of this entire course, there are only 4 things that you have to learn. And if you learn these 4 things, you have learned the whole course well. There are only 4 things you have to do now. And these are the only 4 do's that I'm going to share you all with. I'm going to leave you all with these 4 things, the ABCD of spiritual life. If you start practicing the ABCD very sincerely, your life will not be the same. I can assure you. For all those people who have been asking me from day one, what to do, what practice to do, how do I see the soul, how do I connect with God, what is the process? This is your answer. Just do these 4 things, simple. And this, what I'm going to share with you, won't take you more than half an hour a day. That's all. So all I ask you is to spend half an hour every day developing your Krishna connection. Anyone, no matter how busy they are, they can find half an hour if they want to. Okay. So here is the ABCD. The first A stands for association. Krishna connection happens primarily through association of devotees. What have we been doing for the last 6 sessions? These 6 sessions are nothing but association, isn't it? We've just been sitting together and hearing. That's all. That's what association means. Association means coming together of like-minded people to absorb and understand deeper truths of life. That's it. So A stands for association. You become what you associate with. According to who your association is, that determines your character. That determines your value systems. That determines your belief systems. That determines who you become. My recommendation is every day you should try to associate with devotees a little bit. What is the meaning of the word association? Let me explain to you with the help of a very simple example. There's a Native American saying. It says that inside each one of us, there are 2 dogs. Inside all of us, there are 2 dogs. One is a good dog. The second is a bad dog. The good dog is very gentle. The bad dog is a ruffian. The good dog barks very softly, and the bad dog barks very loudly. The unfortunate part is that the good dog is very thin, and the bad dog is very fat inside all of us. What is this good dog and bad dog thing? Inside each one of us, there is a good dog, and inside each one of us, there is a bad dog. Sometimes the bad dog wins, sometimes the good dog wins. When does the good dog win? When we are in good association, when we are doing the right things, the good dog is winning. The bad dog is winning when you're doing all the wrong things, when we're in the wrong association. You know what the problem is? The problem is that we do not feed the good dog much. We feed the bad dog a lot. Every time we're watching the television, every time we're watching Netflix and Amazon Prime and all these different movies and TV shows and all that, we're simply feeding the bad dog. Every time we are reading the newspapers nowadays, we're simply feeding the bad dog. Every time we're on the internet, scrolling Instagram, or we're reading news, we're feeding the bad dog so much these days. Every time we're picking up a fight with someone, we're feeding the bad dog. Every time we're thinking ill about somebody, we're feeding the bad dog. Every time we're criticizing someone, we're feeding the bad dog. Every time we think negative, we're feeding the bad dog. Every time we worry, we're feeding the bad dog. You know what? All day long, we're doing nothing except feeding the bad dog. That's all we do. Whether in your workplace, whether at your home, whether with your family, whether with people you love, you're simply ending up feeding the bad dog all day long. That's why the bad dog is very healthy, very strong, and it barks very loudly. And that's why we can hear the voice of the bad dog very loudly. But if you really want the good dog to thrive, start feeding the good dog. Very important to feed the good dog. Let me tell you a story about this. A very beautiful story. One time, there was a man that went to a village. It's a very new village that he went to. And he was just walking by, entering to the village. Suddenly he observed that the entrance of the village, there was a cemetery. And it was very strange what he observed in the cemetery. He observed in front of every tomb, all the dead bodies buried there, there was a placard. And that board gave name of the person. And below was a number. It indicated, according to him, the age of the person. Below one person's name, it was written 20 years. Below another person's name, it was written 25 years. Below another person's name, it was written 10 years. He saw all the boards, so many boards he observed, and he saw not even one board said above 25 years. So he was shocked how people are dying so young in this village. Really puzzled. He went into the village and he met one old man standing there and he asked him, "Why are people in this village dying so young?" The old man looked at him and said, "I am 60 years old. What are you asking?" He said, "No, outside in the cemetery, I saw so many boards and every one is below 25 years. How is it?" He said, "Oh, that's an interesting practice in our village." He said, "In our village, everyone maintains a diary from the time they are born. The diary, every day, whatever good activities they do, satsang they hear, associating with good people they do, anything they do which is good in nature, they write it down in that diary in terms of number of hours. So number of hours I heard a lecture, 1 hour a day, whatever. And at the end of one person's life, the diary is taken out and all number of hours that I spent together are calculated. And that is put as your age. That means the number of years that you did something good in your life, that's your lifespan. It's not about number of years that you live. It's about number of years that you lived in satsang. So the question is, for us, if we really want to establish a Krishna connection, what do we need to do? A is association. My recommendation to you all is every week, at least 1 hour, you should hear a lecture. Every week, at least 1 hour. That is the minimum that you should hear in a week. To facilitate this for all of you, we are announcing right now a weekly Bhagavad Gita class. Every Tuesday, starting from 7th of September. We are planning a Bhagavad Gita class from 7:30 to 8:30 in the evening. The idea is that, just now we have done a crash course on the entire Gita, just a summation. But the Gita is an ocean. You can't study Gita in 7 days, in 6 sessions. Not possible. If all of you have been really touched by what you heard in the last 6 sessions, and you want to dive deeper into the wisdom of the Gita, we are inviting all of you for a weekly class every Tuesday starting from 7th of September, 7:30 to 8:30. We're not going to charge at all for this class. It's a free class. But the condition is that you really need to be serious about understanding and studying Gita to be a part of this class. So this class is going to be a very restricted group, right? So I'm not going to be openly inviting hundreds of people for this. It's going to be a very restricted group because it's going to be serious study of Gita, but in a way that is very practical to your life. I've done teaching of Gita more than 6 or 7 batches. Each batch continues for 1 or 2 years. But everyone that has attended these Gita classes has benefited tremendously at various levels in their life. Not only spiritually, but even professionally and personally. Because I introduce a lot of very interesting and very practical things that will help you at all walks of your life, including your relationships, including your professional dealings, including every single aspect of your life, including health. So we'll incorporate so many of these teachings in these classes. My recommendation to all of you is minimum once a week, you should associate with devotees. And these classes are going to provide us that facility to associate. Going forward, sometime in the future, we may have physical events like some trip to some holy place or a retreat for a 2-day, 3-day period where people from wherever you all are can come together. That is something in the future. But if any of you all are interested in association and attending these Gita classes, at the end of the session, we'll be dropping a number. Please do register for that. The Journey of Self-Discovery group in which all of you are, there will be no post on the Gita put up there. So you will not be invited on the Journey of Self-Discovery group. We are going to form a separate group for it. And that group will be very specifically only people who are interested in the Gita, and only those people will be added to that group. If you are interested in association, please do drop in a message to the number that will be sent to you all soon. So the first step is association. And I'll tell you, if all of you all have been sincerely attending these 6 sessions, you would have already experienced the power of association, isn't it? For many of you all who have been just part of these 6 sessions, you would have understood what is the benefit of association just by being together for 6 sessions. That's all. If you have benefited so much in these six sessions, you can imagine what is waiting for you all for the whole Gita. So please take association very seriously. And even if by any chance you do not want to come for the regular Gita classes, still my suggestion to you all is please take association seriously, because this is the A of spiritual life. This is the A. This is not even the ABCD. This is the A of spiritual life. If you do not have good association, there is no question of you developing Krishna connection, right? So A is the first thing, once a week. The second path or second step towards spiritual growth or developing a Krishna connection is B. B stands for books. Books are a very powerful medium of connection with God. Whatever I've been speaking in the last 6 sessions is based on Bhagavad Gita as it is by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I highly recommend you all to get this book. Bhagavad Gita as it is, it's called. If you want it in Hindi, it's called Bhagavad Gita Yatha Roop. If you want it in Marathi, it's called Bhagavad Gita Jashi Tashi. So you have to get this Gita, which is written by Srila Prabhupada, and all the teaching that I'm going to be doing for you all in future is also going to be based on this book. So Bhagavad Gita, the books actually help you in many ways. I'm going to recommend you all 2 books. This is one book that I've already told you all about. I'm going to tell you all about another book also soon. What do books do? Books actually do 4 things for you. The first thing books do is clear your doubts. If you have doubts in your mind, you cannot go fast in your spiritual journey. You cannot go fast. Let me tell you a story. Many years back, I was driving from Mumbai to Pune, I don't know, some city. And we were driving in the middle of the night. Some emergency was there and we were traveling in a car, about 4 of us and a driver. And this was pre-GPRS days, pre the Google Map days, basically. And it was very late in the night, and we reached a junction, particular point, where there was a right and left road. There was no board there. And there were no human beings around to ask where to go. And somehow we just stuck in that junction, and the driver didn't know whether to go left or right, and none of us knew. We decided to toss a coin to decide whether to go right or left, We tossed a coin that heads means right and tails means left. Heads came, we went right. So this driver, we had a long distance to go, and this driver was driving very slowly. We told him, Baba, why did you drive fast? We were just so much distant. This driver, he's saying, I'm trying. But he was not getting the confidence to press the accelerator, Something inside was, he was not comfortable. Then after about, 10 minutes of driving, we met one person on the road. So we stopped and asked him, how do you go to this place? And this person, hey, you've come 10 minutes away and you go back and take that left turn. And then this driver, you should have seen the speed at which he drove. 120 he was driving at. Why? No doubts. Very clear now. He's very clear how to go there. That's what books do to us. The knowledge that the books give us clears your doubts. The second thing that books do for us is books are like a sword. you have a sword in your hand, it slash any kind of knots, right? The books sharpen your intelligence. See, the problem with India is that everybody thinks he knows everything. But unfortunately, most people are WhatsApp educated, basically. Most people pass out from the WhatsApp university. Very pathetic university to be a part of, right? If you really want knowledge, pick up books and especially the scriptures straight away. So we will teach you how to study Gita. And I'm telling you, once you're armed with the knowledge of Gita, once you're armed with the knowledge which is genuinely original, nobody can shake you up. Otherwise, any Tom, Dick, and Harry will say something and you are shaken up for few weeks, basically. So, so knowledge from the books actually gives you sharpens your intelligence. The third thing books does is that it wakes you up. Most human beings are sleeping. They are in a slumber. Sleeping doesn't mean you're actually sleeping, but intellectually and spiritually, most human beings are dull. They're just in a, it's called susupti stage. They're just lying down. They're just inactive spiritually. Books wake you up. You must have noticed in the last 6 sessions, there are many things I would have said that would have jolted you, would have shaken your, understanding, just woken you up. That is the power that books have. That is the power that knowledge has. And the fourth thing it gives you is gives you authoritative knowledge about God. Authoritative knowledge is so important to have. It's not wishy-washy stuff. It's not I think you think stuff. It's clear, authoritative knowledge that gives you confidence in what you're doing and what you think. This is B. There's another book that I would highly recommend all of you to have. We will drop a link to this book. In fact, we'll drop a link to the Bhagavad Gita also on our group today. The second book that I would like all of you to have and read first, even before reading the Gita, is a book called The Journey Home. It's a book written by Radhanath Swami. It's an amazing, life-changing book. Radhanath Swami is my own teacher. This book is an autobiography of Radhanath Swami. And I'll tell you, this book has the power to change the way you look at spirituality and your priorities of life. This book is an amazing story. It reads like a mystery novel. It's about a 19-year-old boy, a Jewish American boy, who set out in search of God. And the amazing thing about this book is this young 19-year-old American boy sets out from his home in search of God with no money. Hitchhikes across the world, literally, going through Pakistan and Turkey and Istanbul and so many places, and finally reaches India in search of God. I'm telling you, when you read this book, your faith in God, your faith in the path of spirituality, your faith in the process of wanting to have the eagerness to practice spiritual life will grow tremendously. So these are two books that I highly recommend you all to read. And as far as B is concerned, my recommendation is, if possible, 15 minutes a day or 1 hour a week is my recommendation for B, reading books. The third, the C of spiritual life, is known as chanting. A, B, C. A for association, B for books, C for chanting. Chanting is a very, very powerful process for this age, which is known as Kali Yuga. Every yuga, there is a process that is recommended for that yuga. The first yuga is Satya Yuga. The process of spiritual practice that is recommended in Satya Yuga is known as dhyana. So in Satya Yuga, people would do meditation for years together. You would have heard so many stories of people sitting and meditating for thousands of years, basically. So the process of Satya Yuga, the first yuga was dhyana, meditation. The second yuga, which is Treta Yuga, the process that is recommended is yajna. Yajna. So during Ram's Yuga, Treta Yuga, a lot of yajnas used to happen. Every nook and corner yajnas would happen. A lot of fire sacrifices would happen. So that was a process recommended for that age. The third yuga is Dwapar Yuga. The third yuga, the process that is recommended is known as Paricharyayam. Paricharyayam means deity worship. So in Dwapar Yuga, many temples got built. Krishna's grandson Vajranama established so many temples and established so many deities. So Dwapar Yuga was a yuga where temple worship was recommended very heavily. Deity worship was recommended very heavily. But Kali Yuga, in the yuga in which all of us are, the first three processes we can't do. Who will do yajnas today? Who can chant mantras so purely? And unfortunately, we chant all the wrong mantras. We don't even know how to chant mantras properly. The yajnas don't work in this age. And even if they work, where will you find so much ghee from? They pour kilos and kilos of ghee in the yajna kund. Nowadays, I remember many years back we were doing some yajna, and we were pouring butter into the ghee into the fire. Clarified butter, ghee into the fire. And people were getting shocked. They were like, oh, so much. Oh, so much. I said, relax. They don't understand what the process of yajna is only, because for them it is like such a costly thing. They're pouring it to the fire. People can't handle yajnas these days, right? What to speak of dhyana? Meditation is impossible. You sit in one place for 1 hour, your back starts paining, your head starts paining, your leg starts paining, all kinds of pains people have in their 20s and 30s also. There's no question of sitting in meditation for hours together. And the process of deity worship also not going to work now in this age. Though deity worship is still done. All the processes are done, but it is not the yuga dharma. Deity worship can happen today also. Yajnas can happen today also. Dhyana can happen today also. But the recommended process for this age is Nama Sankirtan. Chanting the holy names of Lord. Chanting of the holy names is the yuga dharma for this age. The chanting of the holy names is a very powerful way of connecting with God. What is the meaning of? There is a difference in chanting and meditation. In meditation, you are closing your eyes and trying to have no thoughts. Or at max, you might want to think about God, basically. That is what meditation is. But meditation is not a great process for this age. Because when you close your eyes, you get hundreds of thoughts. The mind has to be trapped. The chanting is a process to trap the mind, which is uncontrolled. You know what chanting does? Very simple. You've seen tongs they use to pick up chapati or whatever, tongs are used. What does a tong do? Tong catches an object very tightly, right? And then you can lift it. Similarly, the mind has to be caught. To catch the mind, you need to use minimum 2 senses. In the process of chanting, what happens? We use the mouth. We're chanting the holy names from our mouth, and we're hearing the holy names from our ears. So 2 senses are used, and the mind is trapped between the 2 senses. And we use a third sense. We use a mala to chant, right? We will also send you a link to buy the mala. You get it on Amazon now. So the mala is used. We chant the mala with our fingers. So now we're using our fingers to touch the mala, using our ears to hear the mantra, and using our tongue to chant the mantra. So what is happening? 3 senses are used and the mind gets trapped. That is how we control the mind. So the process of chanting is very different from the process of meditation, because in this age, the mind needs more senses to be controlled and to be in focus. The chanting is like nourishment for the soul. All of us are in the material world, very far away from Krishna, who's in the spiritual world. Krishna is like our mother. When a small baby is in the womb of its mother, what happens? The mother eats food, and through the umbilical cord, the baby gets nourished with the food, right? Similarly, Krishna is like our mother and father. He's in the spiritual world. When we chant the holy names of Krishna, it is like connecting with Krishna. The holy name of Krishna, we are going to chant I'm going to show you all the holy name. that we recommend, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is like a phone number. Just like you want to call up somebody, you need to dial a number, right? So the number that needs to be dialed to be able to talk to Krishna is this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The 16 syllable mantra is a very powerful mantra to connect with God in the spiritual world. Just by heart this mantra, simple. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is called the Yuga Dharma. And this particular mantra is a mantra that is recommended for this age of Kali. So it is said that this mantra, what is the meaning of the word mantra? The word mantra has two letters in it. Word man and tra comes from the word trayate. Trayate means controls. The one that controls the mind is known as mantra. And this Hare Krishna, it is known as Maha Mantra. What is the meaning of Maha Mantra? Maha Mantra means is the supreme most mantra in the world. And for this yuga, this is the recommended mantra that is to be chanted in this age. Brahma tells Narad Muni, Iti Shodashakam Namnam Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. The 16 syllable mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra that is in front of you all, can destroy all the ill effects of Kali Yuga. It helps us connect with Krishna. It said, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhaka Banai, Shravanadi Shujjitita Karahodai. They said all of love of God is inside all our hearts. It's not that we have to artificially develop some love for God. I tell you, it's very simple. Just chant this mantra every day for 15 minutes. That's all I ask for. 15 minutes. You can chant without having a bath. You can chant in the middle of the night. You can chant early in the morning. You can chant in the afternoon. You can chant, after getting up from sleep. In whatever condition of life, pure or impure you are, you can chant this mantra. And just chant 15 minutes a day. And I'll tell you, your life will go through such a powerful transformation internally. It's not that suddenly you'll get rich or something. It's not that suddenly you'll get a job offer or something. That's not all that's going to happen. But something very important will happen. You know what will happen? Your heart will get cleansed. And you will actually start developing your connection with God very powerfully. And it will give you clarity that you need in life about every other aspect of life. We're not promising you all miracles. We're promising you all transformation. If you want miracles, there are so many other paths where you'll find miracles happening. But if you want genuine transformation of the heart, follow this and you will experience it in your personal lives. And so right now, all of us do not have the attraction towards God in our hearts because there is a lot of rust on our heart settled down. Just like iron filings don't get attracted to a magnet when it is rusted, right? But when the rust is taken off, the iron immediately gets attracted to the magnet. Similarly, all of us have love of God in our hearts right now, but it is covered over by rust. In our case, it is lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, illusion. All these are like rust covering over the heart. And we are not able to find any attraction towards God. But as you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, this covering gets cleansed up. The rust goes away and your heart becomes cleansed, and a natural attraction towards God automatically develops in your heart. And this is the third thing, the C, which is known as the chanting of the holy names. And what is the recommendation? If you can see on the side, can you see this mantra going all the way to the spiritual world? This Hare Krishna Mahamantra you see is coming from the material world. As we chant, it directly reaches up to Golok Vrindavan. So C, my recommendation for C is this: 15 minutes a day. That's all. So A is association, 1 hour a week I said. B is books, 15 minutes a day or 1 hour a week. And C is chanting, 15 minutes a day. That's all I'm asking for. And the last thing is D. D stands for diet. So now, when it comes to diet, diet is a very important element in our spiritual progress. What is the meaning of diet? Diet is something very simple that I recommend. Offer every day some food to Krishna. Make it very simple. Offer some dry fruits every day. Just two, three dry fruits. Put it in a small plate. Keep a special plate for Krishna. Keep it in a small plate and offer a couple of dry fruits to Krishna every day and little water if possible. That's all. And you eat those dry fruits that you offer to Krishna. By eating prasad, you won't believe how much transformation can happen to your heart. There are people who come to our temples only to eat prasad, nothing else. And prasad has such a powerful effect on the heart. I'll tell you all someday in future about so many stories of so much heart transformation through the power of prasad. So my recommendation to you all is very simple. Just, I'm sure all of you all have photographs of Krishna in your homes. And if you do not have, at least on your phones, you will have photographs. You can download some photo. Or we can also help you get photographs of Krishna for your own homes. Just offer a little bit milk, water, some dry fruits, some fruit, anything. One of these four items I'm talking about, some juice. These four things only you can stick to in the beginning. And every day systematically eat it. It experience a powerful transformation in your heart. So ABCD, association, 1 hour a week, books 15 minutes a day or 1 hour a week, chanting 15 minutes a day, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And D is diet. Eat a little bit of Krishna Prasad every day. You'll experience, these four things are only do's that I recommend. There are some don'ts also, but the don'ts are not as important as the do's. Just focus on the do's and the don'ts will automatically be taken care of. So the don'ts we talk about usually are, we ideally recommend a life of purity. And for that, we avoid illicit connections. We recommend a life of austerity. So for that, to live a life of austerity, we recommend not having intoxicants, anything that is addictive, including liquor and smoking, tea, coffee. Just avoid as much of intoxicants as possible. Third is we try to live a life of compassion, and to help live a life of compassion, we try to avoid causing pain and harm to animals. Reduce as much pain as possible. And fourth is we live a life of truth. And to enable that, we try to avoid gambling, which fights with the element of truth so much. So as I said, don't focus so much on the don'ts. Just focus on the ABCD, the four do's that I spoke about. And finally, before we conclude, I wanted to end with one very simple note. I initially said we need to go to a temple. But now I'm saying you can make your home into a temple. You don't have to physically go to a temple only. Your own homes can become a temple. What is the meaning of temple? And how do you make your home into a temple? It's very simple. The way to convert your home into a temple is by keeping Krishna in the center of your lives. Just by keeping Krishna in the center of your lives, your home can become a temple. What is the meaning of keeping Krishna in the center of your life? Let me just give you a simple example. In the previous times, in every house, right in the center of the house, there would be a deity of Radha Krishna, Sita Ram, some deity would be at the center of the house. And on top of every house, there would be a flag indicating that this house belongs to God. But today, you don't have deity in the center of the house. What do you have in the center of the house? We have big television, TV Maharaj, sitting in the center of every house. What does it indicate? All the house members sit around the TV, silently worship it, right? Very enthusiastically do worship together of the television. That indicates the center of my house is the television. And where is the deity? In some corner. You have to actually go and search for, the altar in people's houses, under the staircase somewhere, on top of the cupboard where nothing else can be kept. You give a place to the Lord where it's just like one of the most useless places practically. So, and what is on top of every house? You don't have a flag on top of every house. What do you have on top of every house? Dish antenna. which clearly indicates the house belongs to the television, right? Every house, one big dish antenna is hanging there. So that actually shows our priorities. The idea of keeping Krishna in the center of the house is to tell my priority is God. In the initial days when television came, television came for very simple reasons, right? It came, people used to watch Amchi Mati, Amchi Manasa, DD News. All good things would come on television. And people were like, so happy, Arey, what is this? So nice, so nice. TV has come to do something good for us. When Ravan enters Sita's life, he came as a sadhu, disguised as a sadhu, right? And Sita thought he's come to do something good for me. That's how the television came in all our lives. But the moment Ravan enters and takes place, then his 10 head comes out. First, television came with a very innocent look. Then after that, 200 channels, 300 channels, heads expanded. And what happens when Ravan takes away Sita? Ravan takes away Sita and he puts her in Lanka, in Ashok Vatika. Similarly, all of us, we had God in the center of our lives. But because we prioritize something else, God silently walks away from your life. He's in some corner of your life. Now it is time to bring back God in the center of your life. Spiritual life is simply putting Krishna in the center of your life. Giving that one number priority. Don't put it in the end. Don't take it away from your life. All those zeros become meaningless if you do not have that one in the front. Therefore, keep Krishna right in the front of your life. You can live a life completely the way you want, but just prioritize Krishna. That's all. You don't have to do anything else. So the ABCD that we spoke to you all about will help you prioritize Krishna. Every week, when you come in the association of devotees, you will get such a powerful inspiration. I can guarantee you that. 1 hour, it won't be a 2-hour class, it will just be a 1-hour class. But that 1 hour will leave you so inspired for the rest of your week. That the rest of the week, you will be able to manage practicing your spiritual life easily because of that 1 hour that you prioritize. If you can just prioritize Tuesday evening, 7:30 to 8:30 every week, no matter what, I can tell you everything else will become much easier to do. So association 1 hour a week, books 15 minutes a day or 1 hour a week, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 15 minutes a day, and we should do it systematically, non-stop. It's not that one day you do and 5 days take a break. Every day, just like you eat every day, you have to chant every day. Just like you sleep every day, you should chant every day. Just make it a part of your life. Just make it a routine in your life, if possible, in the morning. And D stands for chanting. D stands for diet, which is eating Krishna Prasad. Offer something to Krishna, dry fruits, some juice, milk, or simply water also. Just offer something to Krishna. If possible, put a tulsi leaf in it. That's all. These 4 things you do, your life will go through a powerful transformation, and you will actually see the power of Krishna coming into your life and the Krishna connection coming into your life. Just before I end, I just want to give you all one more insight into what we're going to do in these classes that happen on a weekly basis. As I said, we're going to send you a number to which you have to register for these classes. Again, I'm saying these classes, we're not going to charge at all. The only reason we are not charging is because we want to inspire more people to be a part of it. And the second thing is that the reason we are doing these classes is simply to help you all connect with Krishna. We have no other agenda. We have no other gain from it, right? I mean, I have 100 different things to do. I have hundreds of roles that I play, but the role that I love the most is to teach Gita. This is something that I do voluntarily. This is something that I love to do. This is something that is one of my most important contributions in my life. That's why I teach Gita, in spite of me being engaged in so many other ways. So please try to prioritize it as much as I'm going to prioritize it. No matter where I'm in the world, no matter how many things I'm doing in this world, I will be there on Tuesday evening, 7:30 to 8:30. So if any of you all would like to be a part of this journey, please do join. I'll be most happy and honored to have all of you all and teach you all. So we are most probably going to restrict the numbers to a certain number because for the Zoom meeting, the Zoom equations. So we will have a cutoff at that point. But at this point, at least we are quite open to inviting as many of you all to join. And if you, after this 6 sessions, if you feel very inspired that you want to invite some of your friends or family members to be a part of this, you're most welcome to suggest that also. But if anybody wants to join the Gita classes, they have to hear this Journey of Self-Discovery course. Obviously, I don't know when I'm going to do this course again one more time, but I will be doing it. I will send you audio recordings, video recordings of these classes, which you can share it with them, and post that they can start coming for the Gita classes. Okay. And the Gita classes will be done like this. The first 9 weeks, I'll be doing introduction to Mahabharata first, where I'll give you all a solid foundation of why Gita was spoken. And these Mahabharata classes will give you all such a deep and such a solid understanding of the characters of the Mahabharata. And post that, we will get into Gita chapter wise. So each chapter will take, as many turns as it takes. But I'll be doing thematically. I'm not going to do verse wise. And as I said, it will be very inspirational types and oriented towards practical application of spirituality and practical application of understanding of Gita in our lives. So with that, I would like to end now. And before we get into question answers and discussions, if any of y'all would like to open your mics, unmute yourself, and share whatever your experience has been in the last 6 days, I would be very happy to hear them. You can drop in feedbacks to us also, but if you'd like to speak up, it'll be an honor to hear. And then we can have as many discussions and question answers as needed today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Namaskar, Guruji. I
Yes.
just want to give feedback. My name is Rashmi Zagde.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate your efforts, sir. The 6 weeks journey was really amazing. And the clarity of thought, the examples you gave, the stories you told to us, I really like that. And I could establish the connection that is very much I can visualize, very much I can relate to. So it's such an amazing experience to hear all the 6 sessions, and I would really looking forward for this session. I was waiting when the Thursday will come and when I'll attend the session. So that kind of a strong feeling I had. So it's all thanks to you, and I am also looking forward for your Gita classes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I have seen you enthusiastically taking notes all through the 6 sessions, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you very much for being here and part of this course, and welcome to our Gita journey. Nageshji, like to speak?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I just wanted to thank you with as sincere as I can be. What I really enjoyed over here in this session is how you really blended a very spiritual and sometimes an abstract topic and you have linked it very well to the world we live in through some very rational examples by actually also in a sort of a debate form wherein certain scientific beliefs have been rationally questioned by you, unlike just saying, oh no, you have to just believe it because it's written. No. So I really like the way you linked those deeper concepts, spiritual concepts, with some very good rational path to begin with. Of course, all of it can't be explained rationally, but then yes, a good, you really given us a good path to start with. So I really thank you. And I was very keen on the first session or the second session itself that I was hoping to join a Gita class conducted by you. And it really came as a wonderful gift that you announced that you're actually going to follow up these 6 sessions with an actual class. So I'm really grateful to that, and I look forward to joining it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Nageshji. I really appreciate his sincerity. You have been there for all 6 sessions, isn't it? Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else would like to ask anything, share any thoughts? Please feel free to.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Balkrishna ji.
So, Guruji, I must really say that, very, very absorbing and insightful. I must really say that, I've been quite attentive and attended all the 6 sessions, proactively. Proactively, I must say, it's really very good. But I was traveling from another town today. I really ensured that, I take the morning flight and ensured that and landed in Mumbai without taking any risk of the afternoon or evening flights. So,
Wow.
so I was looking forward to that, and uh, 6 session. I was thinking that the last one, and fortunately, you have come up with the Gita classes, so the continuity will be maintained. So that's a really lovely thing. The flow will continue, and I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you, Balkrishna ji. Very grateful.
That thing happened to good people.
Namaste. Can I speak? Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Please.
So, it has been a course which I think our children recommended to us to do. And both of us said, no, let's join on this. We don't have a lot of opportunity to listen in Zambia. That's where we are. So this came up as, and it's fortunate. I mean, I know you said you'd like to see your people and, talk to them. But for us, it became an opportunity where we could actually see you online, because it would have been very difficult for us to be in Mumbai or wherever you are at that point. So that came as a blessing for us. And the interesting thing that happened was, in the session 5, when you said, why do bad things happen to good people? And that one of the big things that we wanted to listen. Always a question that burns in your mind. And strangely enough, that Thursday that we were supposed to do it, both of us were tied up because it was my husband's mother's 84th birthday, and it was a big celebration here, and we both were like, oh no, we're going to have to miss this. And hearing the recording is not the same as seeing you and listening to you. And it may be unfortunate that you got sick, but for us it was our good fortune that we didn't miss it. So I think God was
Now
very
I know
kind
why I
to
got
us.
sick.
And my son-in-law, I wrote to him and I said, oh, I might be missing this session. And he said, oh, that's a bit sad because people really gather to go here. And then when you fell sick, it was out of the blue, but hey, you were not crying. You were like, yes, we can hear him the next week.
This is the first time I'm hearing somebody is happy that I'm sick.
So it was just a blessing, and we just thought, oh wow, somehow Krishna wants us to hear this. So
Actually, Prabhuji, even incidentally, my sickness was also synchronized on the same day. And I had almost forgotten, and I was like, oh my God, I need to rush to the class. And my wife says, oh no, there's actually a message saying that Prabhuji is not here. It's okay. Even I can rest. Although I didn't rejoice.
Wonderful. There's always a higher reason for some things. Thank you for sharing that. Who is your son? Son, right? Who recommended you for the course?
Son-in-law is Nitin. I think he's called Narahari.
He's
Nitin
the guy from Australia.
Yes, in Melbourne. That's right.
Oh, okay. I got it. Nitin Krishna. Yeah, of course. I know him well.
Shruti and Nitin. Shruti is our daughter who's married to Nitin.
Right.
That's right.
Beautiful. Thank you. Ramesh ji.
Hi, Prabhuji. Good evening. Sorry. Ramesh ji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Ramesh ji.
Sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Yeah. If you want to go ahead, please go ahead. Please. I'm sorry.
It's okay, Ramesh ji, please.
Yes. Prabhuji, see, I happened to get this message only on the second session, so I actually happened to join a little late. So I need to share this because I have an online session. I'm tutoring people in communication and things like that. So I had to actually postpone all these sessions just for this session for Prabhuji. And I've really managed to do that, and with all my students' help, they accepted this, and we actually postponed such things are really not possible with so many people under the program. I would really say this is really useful for me. I'm actually looking forward to go ahead with this. I have Gita with me. I have lots of doubts to ask, and for some reasons or other, I haven't completed it yet. I often get some doubts in between, and I'm really happy that you are there. I'm looking forward to go ahead with this. Really, I'm really happy with the session. Yeah.
Superb. Thank you, Rameshji. Thank you for being here so sincerely.
Yes, sir.
And showing your sincerity by postponing classes.
Yeah,
Really
I've
shows
done a
you're
lot.
so eager to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandeepji.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari.
This is the second journey of self-discovery me and my wife Sonia are attending, and I think it is never enough. I would, suggest to whoever is here that you should attend it as many times as you get a chance to. That is mine, because you can never digest everything in one session. And every time you hear this, you get to know something new you might have missed out in the previous session. So while I'm not so spiritually at a level where I can advise you like Prabhuji does, but it is my strong suggestion that you should attend the journey of self-discovery whenever it is possible. And for us in Goa, we have had the great fortune of spending a lot of time personally with Prabhuji, and hope we get to do that in future as well. Nice to see you, Prabhuji, whenever you come on screen. Now we are waiting to meet you personally as soon as possible.
Soon.
Thank you for everything.
Hari Hari. Hare Krishna. Anyone else has any doubts or questions to ask about what we discussed so far? Anyone would like to speak anything? Please do. Feel free to.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
You mentioned, of course, this chanting. I mean, does it have to be? I know you did mention that you need to chant, and so then your two senses are occupied, or your three senses are occupied. But is it something that you can do? I mean, for practical reasons, is it something that you can do in your mind? I mean, in the sense that you chant in your mind rather than loudly, or do you have to do it loudly?
So I will tell you the difference between chanting in your mind and chanting loudly. The problem with the mind is that the mind has a noise of its own. When we're chanting in our mind, there is another high volume noise going on in our mind. And that noise is never silent. I am sure you understand what I mean, right? The mind is constantly speaking, constantly thinking, constantly chattering.
Correct.
To silence that mind with silent chanting is impossible. Therefore, when we chant loudly, we don't have to chant like with the loudspeaker or anything. We chant as loudly as we can hear. It's your mouth and your ears. So if you can chant as loudly as you can hear, it will actually silence your mind. In spite of that, the mind will scream. In spite of that, it will scream. But the scream will be less louder than when you do it silently. And that's how you can focus. So purification happens when we hear the holy name nicely, attentively. The more attentively we hear, the better it gets. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Prabhuji, I had one more thing to ask you. Like, I've seen a lot of people who are not Hindus, or or even those who are, and I've experienced they're very good. They do a lot of service to the community. They're thinking well, and they behave well, and all the good things. But they don't go to the temple. I mean, they feel like other people have, like we say, that there is a God in everyone, right? So they do good things for others in that way.
Yeah.
So is that, I'm not saying that they're wrong or right, and I feel that's also a good way to, I mean, God is seeing that you're actually not taking anything for yourself, but you're actually doing something for somebody else. So is that sometimes enough, or is it like wrong? I don't think that is wrong, but I feel like, okay, that's also another way to do things. And is that right? Or I'm trying to understand, like, is that sufficient in that way?
You're talking about doing good, right? You're talking about doing good.
Yes. Basically a good human being doing the right things, thinking the right things,
See,
also
doing good,
sorry.
the answer is very simple. Doing good will give you good reactions, which is wonderful. Now you understand. What's the problem with that?
Not karma. Okay.
As simple as that.
Okay. Got you.
Doing good cannot be the goal of life.
Mm.
Because that's a restrictive goal.
Mm.
So you can do good while being Krishna conscious. Like I'll just give you a simple example. How you can make that doing good into spirituality, into Krishna consciousness. Very simple. Like say, suppose you want to give poor people who don't have food to eat food.
Mhm.
That's doing good, isn't it?
Mhm.
How can you make that a karma? Very simple. Before you give that food to the poor people, just offer it to Krishna and then give. The moment you offer Krishna and give them that food, you're giving them prasad. So then you're not doing good karma anymore. You're doing akarma.
Okay.
As simple as that. So just by introducing a Krishna element into any good activity that you do, you are getting out of this loop of doing good. You're getting into the karma zone.
Okay.
As simple as that.
Okay.
Okay?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
Like the many words are called like nirvana, moksha, sayujya, mukti. Is it the same as being one with Krishna, or is it different, or how these words are having different meanings, or are they the same?
Yeah. So whatever words you used, nirvana, sayujya, mukti, and becoming one with Krishna, they all four mean the same thing. But that is different from what we are talking about. Four things that you spoke about, nirvana, mukti, sayujya, and becoming one with Krishna, they both talk about merging into Brahma Jyoti, these four. They're talking about the Brahman liberation, impersonal liberation. If you remember the chart that we showed, the spiritual world, material world, and then there's a space in between, the Brahman.
Yes, I remember.
All these four are talking about going to Brahman. As simple as that. So there is nothing called becoming one with God. You cannot become one with God. So when they talk about impersonal liberation, mukti, sayujya, sayujya means merging with God, or the idea of nirvana, which is also connection. They're all talking about going into Brahma Jyoti. Because from the perspective of the scriptures, you cannot merge into Krishna directly. It's not possible. The merging concept is not possible. Just like spark that comes out from fire cannot go back into the fire. It has its own existence, basically. So similarly, Krishna has created us. We can't just merge back into him unless he is wanting us to merge back, and he will never want that. The idea of merging back into God doesn't exist. The scriptures, the example that they give is like this: a green bird entering into a green tree doesn't mean the bird disappears. The green bird doesn't lose its existence. It's just gone into the green tree, basically. It doesn't mean that the bird doesn't exist anymore. The Atma will always exist eternally. So when we talk about merging, when we talk about liberation, when we talk about sayujya mukti, when we talk about nirvana, they're all talking about the idea of Brahman liberation. As simple as that. Okay. We are talking about an eternal life in service of Krishna. Going back to the spiritual world, where we will exist. Krishna will exist, and our role as servants of Krishna and friends of Krishna, associates of Krishna will exist, basically. Anything
Prabhuji,
else?
we can throw some light for everybody's benefit on the difference between chanting and satsang.
Yeah. Chanting and Sankirtan you're talking about? Satsang?
Yeah. Basically, in the previous like we had discussed, suppose I'm driving the car and chanting the Krishna Maha Mantra, would it amount to chanting, or would it?
Yeah. So there are different ways of chanting. The one way of chanting is you chant spontaneously throughout the day. Some people like to sing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Some people like to hear, a kirtan tape going on, or some people just like to keep chanting all day long. So there are two types of chanting. One is known as japa and the other is known as kirtan. So kirtan can happen all day long, non-stop. There's no hard and fast rule. There's no restrictions for kirtan. You don't have to keep track of kirtan. But japa has to happen very systematically and with count. So it's good to measure your japa, basically. You're chanting 15 rounds, 15 minutes, essentially means you're chanting about 2 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra. We'll talk about what that rounds means, basically. But chanting 2 malas, that's what 15 minutes takes, basically. So japa has to be always done very systematically and in a measured way. But kirtan can be done in a completely spontaneous and unmeasured way, basically. Both has its benefits. Kirtan will keep you absorbed all day long, but japa will keep you focused and it'll help you control your mind. Japa is very important for spiritual progress. And therefore, japa is given a very high weightage and priority in the process of sadhana bhakti, in the process of spiritual life. Okay? Hare Krishna. Anybody else would like to ask any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Devanshi ji.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question which is more related to our last lecture we had, where we were talking about delayed karma and instant karma. My question is that I am brought up into a Jain community, and coming into Krishna consciousness is through my brothers and sisters. So they are the one who brought me into this. So being born into a Jain community even is a form of karma, or it is just our forefathers, like our grandparents were following it, that's why we are following it.
100% it is a part of your karma. Birth is always
Okay.
connected to our past karma. 100%. There is no doubt about it.
Okay. So
But-
we coming,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, continue, sir.
Having said that, it is a part of your karma. It doesn't mean that it has to remain that way only.
Okay.
You have the choice of how to, how to use this life in a way that will redefine your, life ahead, basically, and in your future journeys.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Where are you from, Devanshi ji?
Sir, I'm from Mumbai.
Okay. And who's your brother? Or
His name
siblings
is
that are-
Jigar Shah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So he was the one who recommended this course to me.
Super. Wonderful. Thank you. Very happy connecting with you, Devanshi ji.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Nagendra ji, please.
Prabhuji, can you recommend some books about Ramayana?
Yeah. Just now on the chat, Dr. Shileka Matachi, she just dropped in a recommendation. There is
Yes,
a
sir.
series of books I've written called Ramayana, the Game of Life.
Yes, Prabhuji.
There are 5 books that are available on Amazon. You can just search for my name, Shubha Vilas, on Amazon, and you'll get all my books. So in the Ramayana series, I've written 5 books. Each book is one kand of the Ramayana with
Yes,
a lot of
Prabhuji.
life lessons. So I highly recommend you to read these books, and this will give you a lot of insights into the Ramayana.
And Prabhuji, what should be our approach while starting to read any spiritual scripture?
See, the main approach is that of faith. So when we read a scripture, just remember that these are words of very evolved souls. And this is directly Krishna speaking to us. So when we read the scripture, we read with great faith, but at the same time, we read with a lot of use of our intelligence. So that means we have faith at the background of our mind, understanding that these scriptures are authoritative, but in the foreground, we have intelligence. That means whatever we read, we should analyze it nicely, understand it nicely, and look at it from many different angles, and then absorb it. So that is what typically we are doing in these Gita classes, if you have noticed. So we are studying the scriptures which are authoritative, but we are studying it in a way that is intellectually appealing, basically. So that is the way I recommend studying scriptures.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. And that's what the plan is to, in the Gita classes, we plan to do this in the same way. So I will teach you the scriptures well, you know. So as I'm sharing the chapters of the Gita with you all, I will also be telling you all what to read in the book, so that it will be a parallel study of this book as well as practical application of the book. Okay.
And Prabhuji, I had one more question.
Yeah.
You told us about the importance of Guru in our life. He introduced us to God. He is like a trainer, teacher, and doctor.
Yeah.
So how do we find one's Guru, or how do we approach one's Guru?
See, there are two types of gurus in our lives. The first guru is known as Siksha Guru. Siksha Guru is the one who gives us knowledge about God. So anyone who helps us get knowledge about God is Siksha. Siksha means teaching, right? So that's your primary teacher, basically, who will give you knowledge about God. Once you gain sufficient knowledge about God, you are ready, then you will find a Diksha Guru in your life. That will happen automatically over a period of time, right? So that's not the primary worry in the beginning. The beginning, the main worry should be to find a teacher who can give you good Siksha. And that is what we are trying to do through these Gita classes, to give you a foundation of philosophy and understanding. And then, you know, with time now, the spiritual master comes in. You will see that happening.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
I hope you are planning to join the Gita classes.
Yes, yes, definitely. It was wonderful to attend your sessions, and whatever information you gave was, many things were actually very new, and it was crisp. It was relating to practical life. So it was very wonderful. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Nagendraji.
I have, sorry, one more thing to ask you. Might be a
Yeah.
very silly question, but when you say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, and Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, I always have this doubt, so I just have to clear it now. Is Rama, is it Rama as in Ayodhya Rama, or is it Rama as in Balrama? I just don't know.
Thank you for the question. It's both. So technically, if you see, it refers to Balaram only, but there are many devotees who have Lord Ramachandra established in their heart. So if you have Lord Ram established in your heart, then it refers to Lord Ram. As simple as that. So it depends on your meditation and it depends on your connection, but it could be both, basically.
Okay, sorry, and Prabhuji, when you're taking the Bhagavad Gita classes, I mean, is it important that we have
that book,
the particular book that you're saying was Prabhupada's book? Or
yeah, so don't worry if you don't have it physically with you.
Yeah,
we'll send you a PDF, not an issue.
Okay. So any other Gita okay or no? It's better to
Kindle,
have
Kindle, yeah. It's available in all forms.
Yes, okay, all right. Because
Don't
we
worry.
have the Gita here, but I don't have that necessarily the same version
Right,
that you were talking about.
No, it's good to have that version only. So we
Okay.
will arrange it for you. Don't worry.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, so and if you are in Zambia, right? You said?
Yes, that's all right. We're in Zambia.
I can arrange someone from Zambia to come and give it to you also. Don't worry. we are quite well networked.
Miracles never cease.
Yeah, we have people all over the world, and I've traveled so much, so I know practically people from every country. So we will figure out something. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Guruji.
Yes, Nareshji, please.
One query that actually disturbed me a lot. So if I take the key message from the entire journey of our life is do a karma, yeah, devote yourself to the gods, keep Krishna in the front, yeah, and then do all karmas. Sometimes I get disturbed when I see, for example, latest is Afghanistan issues, etc. That when we say devote yourself, and we see this particular community that do anything, and it comes that we are doing for God, yeah, and that also believe in concept, afterlife, yeah, and that disturbed me a lot. So I don't know what is there in those scriptures and how it is leading to the so-called that God. Just try to help me out to understand what is the difference. And although the thought process remains the same, devote yourself to the God, and what God wants, we don't know. And maybe those person, what they are doing, they are assuming the wrong thing that that is leading to the gods. So please help me to clear my thought. Guruji.
Thank you for your question, Nareshji. It's a very thought-provoking question and a very thoughtful question. My understanding is very simple. God cannot want you to cause harm to innocent people. The moment anything is provoking you to harm somebody who's innocent, then it has to ring an alarm bell in your mind. Because the purpose of religion is to re-establish dharma. And dharma is established when there is long-term peace. There can be fight for an interim period, just like, if you are having cancer. So now the surgeon may have to amputate your leg, right? And when there is amputation of leg, there is violence. But that violence is for a short period so that you can have long-term peace, so that the cancer cells don't spread across your body, right? So whenever there is any introduction of violence in society, that introduction of violence has to be only for a period which is so short. And the purpose of that violence also is to establish peace for long term. Got it? So dharma or any religion that pushes you towards violence for a long term cannot be authoritative from a realistic perspective, right? And plus what happens is, usually in most places, there is misinterpretation of the original scriptures. There is always misinterpretation. If you really look at it, Jesus Christ never wrote the Bible. Somebody else wrote it much later, right? And it is a compilation of many teachings of his. Prophet Muhammad never wrote the Quran. Somebody else wrote it much later. And it's a compilation of many teachings of his. You understand? It is very different from Vyasdeva Valmiki writing scriptures. Very, very different, basically. And also, if you look at from a long-term perspective, the only instance where you'll find where violence is being recommended in the scriptures, like for example, Bhagavad Gita is pushing you to become violent, right? Arjuna didn't want to become violent, but Krishna is telling him, you be violent. But why is Krishna telling him to be violent? Krishna is not telling him to be violent for his advantage. Krishna didn't get anything out of it. He didn't get anything out of it. In fact, even the Pandavas didn't get anything out of it. They lost everything. They lost so much. But the only thing that came out of the war was a king or a dharmic ruler on top. And that created peace for many generations, basically. So it was a war that lasted for a short duration of time, but it created peace for a long, long duration of time. Many, many generations after the Pandavas ruled very peacefully and very dharmically, basically. That is what is the difference. So war is not a problem, but if it is for a very limited duration of time and it causes long-term peace. Now you analyze what is the difference between the two. Does it make sense, Nareshji?
Yeah, Guruji. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question.
But just to take on what he was just saying, don't you think they would also be thinking the same, that this war is for them to attain whatever it is that they want to attain? But I'm just saying for, I don't know.
See, the idea is this. There are among them itself, there are many differences in the way the scriptures are interpreted. If you go to the scholars who have studied Quran very carefully, you go to the scholars, among them itself, there is such a huge variety of differences in understanding of the scripture, right? So there is no one authoritative mood of interpreting that scripture. So now it's all now left to a person's whims, right? What I feel I'll do. What somebody else feels they do. But just ask yourself something very simple. Why would God want long-term agitation? Simple. No religion in this world and no God and no scripture should or must push people towards long-term agitation. Doesn't really make any sense. And also there is exclusivity. It's very interesting, about Vedic scriptures being inclusive and a lot of Semitic religions being exclusive, right? So if you look at the Vedic scriptures, like anybody who follows Sanatana Dharma, we are taught to respect every religion. We are taught to respect every form of God. In fact, we respect any other religion also as much as we respect our own religion, right? But if you look at any other religion, like even Christianity for that matter, Jesus Christ or no other way. Anybody who doesn't follow Jesus Christ is bogus. Same thing with Quran. If anybody who doesn't follow Quran, they are bogus. Now, if a religion is pushing you to disrespect everybody else except yours, that itself is foundationally wrong. Get what I'm saying? Great. Anyone else? One last question or comment before we end?
Prabhuji, since maybe I'll just break the silence. A small, simple question. While chanting, I have always seen people cover the mala in a bag.
Yeah.
Or for that matter, even as Brahmins, when we do Gayatri Japa, we cover, we hold the sacred thread and cover it with a cloth. So what's the reason behind that?
It's very simple. The mala is pure. And when we chant without any, covering, the possibility of touching the feet, touching the floor, touching any impure object is very high. So the cloth is simply a protection means to keep the sanctity of the mala intact. That's it. Nothing else. It makes it very convenient and very easy to hold it together. That's all. Okay. Okay, great. So we'll end today's session. Before we end, I would just like to request all of you all who have been very patiently here with us throughout the entire course and over the last 2.5 hours, please take everything we discussed very seriously, especially the ABCD, the association, books, chanting, and diet, very, very seriously. To the extent you're serious about these ABCD 4 things, to that extent you will progress in your spiritual life. And to that extent, you will actually see tangible transformation in your lives. If you just follow the process the way I'm recommending it, you will see. You can take it as a challenge if you want. Just follow what I'm saying for 6 months. Just take it as a challenge if you want. If it doesn't work for you in 6 months, you can drop it completely. But I can tell you that once you start seriously, you will not stop it for the rest of your life. My personal guarantee. Okay. And for all those of you all who are really seriously interested in growing in your spiritual life and being connected with us, please do come for the Gita classes. We will be dropping on a message on the Journey of Self-Discovery group about the process of joining the Gita class. And there will be a very clear filtration on joining the Gita class. The Journey of Self-Discovery is very important for being a part of the Gita class. Anyone who wants to attend the Gita classes, please recommend them to hear the Journey of Self-Discovery and then join in. It will be a very, very powerful connect. I can assure you all that. So before we start the Gita class, you'll have almost 10 days. So in these 10 days time, please expect calls from us. I will be calling many of you all, and we will also be having some of our devotees calling all of you all just to ask you all about your experience and stay in touch with you all. Please remember that my style and my process is a very personal style and process. I personally like to stay in touch with people. So anybody who's going to be a part of this group is going to get a lot of time from me. And I'm going to make sure that I take out time for all of you all. And it'll be my honor and pleasure to serve all of you all in your spiritual journeys. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, and have a good night. And I wish all of you all a very successful and a very happy beginning of your spiritual life and Krishna consciousness. Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.